With only a few months left in the year and the Crown Tundra drawing closer to release, there are a lot of ideas, rumors, speculation about where things will go after the Crown Tundra. Hey, this is GatorEX, and let's go ahead and discuss just some things, a bit more of a casual chat, I guess, discussion, more like I used to have. Now, obviously, Pokemon is in a pretty interesting place right now. I mean, overall, but as far as game releases go. Now, people like to bring up maybe there are some patterns that we could go off of, but realistically, each year or each generation for Pokemon has been wildly different. And while there are some patterns, some things just throw us for a loop completely. I mean, this year, rather than getting a new game, something like a third alternate version or enhanced versions or sequels, we're getting direct DLC to the games. And of course, Isle of Armor, Crown Tundra, which I think is a pretty good idea. However, though, there are some ideas of, well, if we get DLC this year, what's to say we won't get more DLC? And obviously, there are just there are a bunch of ideas, a bunch of rumors, and obviously, every rumor, we can't believe every rumor because it's just that. Now, the thing is, though, yeah, there's a lot of discussion, whether it's going to be something else, Cinder of Citadel of Cinder, or the Scepter Sea, or Jungle Jewels or whatever, which, by the way, a bunch of people are using the images in their thumbnails, and by the way, I found the artist who was making them, so there's that. But regardless, the idea for some alternate DLC, something more, is out there, and whether I think that's going to happen, I kind of don't think it is, because for the most part, they announced, at the beginning of this year, they said, hey, here's the expansion pass. It's going to be, $30, and you're going to get both of them. And it's going to be an expansion pass for the rest of the year. Now, they didn't call it a season pass or anything. They called it an expansion pass. So hypothetically, they could introduce more later down the line. And that, it would potentially still be included in the expansion pass that we paid for, or maybe there'll be more. They didn't leave any of that. They didn't say any of that. And especially with the Isle of Armor being a whole separate island, and the Crown Tundra being, I guess kind of, far off, hypothetically, you could just introduce a lot more, whether it be alternate islands in the Galar region, or nearby-ish locations. And especially because, the Galar region just being based off a small portion of the UK and this and that. So, I mean, hypothetically, there's a lot you could do, but realistically, probably not. I think we're in a pretty set course of, 2019, we get Sword and Shield. 2020, we get the alternate version / DLC, which is what we're in now. And then the next year, potentially Sinnoh remakes or something along those lines. Or some kind of remakes. And of course, you're oh gosh, there have been so many various rumors or this and that. Oh, hey, let's go Entei, of all things. Or a full collection of Pokemon, just like the Mario 3D All-Stars that came out. And I mean, a lot of it is fun ideas, interesting talking points, but realistically, there's not a whole lot to go off of. And, on one hand, recently with Pokemon, there have been some substantial, actual, legitimate leaks. For one thing, with 2019, a lot of details of Pokemon Sword and Shield were, leaked online, as far as mostly information, not necessarily game assets or screenshots or this and that. However, though, with Let's Go 2 years ago, there's that Lapras screenshot that was going around and legitimately turned out to be the actual game, and it just came out of nowhere, and it sort of went away until the discussion came out. And of course, there are things when the logos are actually leaked, actual legitimate logos on copyright legal websites and stuff like that. Normally that ends up being the day before or the week before. Those are legitimate things, but as far as everything that's been going on, it's all whatever. Yeah, like I said, I think that we're in a pretty set schedule. At least that's sort of my prediction for what's going on. A while ago, I kind of maintained that way back, I think after Sun and Moon, so 2017, I had thrown out oh, hey, what if it's not until 2020, 2021 that we get Sinnoh remakes? And again, the whole thing of whether we'll get Sinnoh remakes or not is all up in the air. But I guess additional DLC for Sword and Shield, a big thing that's kind of driving it also is because there is no national dex in the game. Not every Pokemon is available, but the Isle of Armor introduced a few hundred, or about 100, and then the Crown Tundra is going to introduce about 100 more. So hypothetically, if we get, say, 2 more, that could just introduce the rest of the Pokemon, and then we've got a full generation. The thing is, though, it's hard enough to keep a Pokemon game going. For one thing, When it comes to Pokemon, after you finish the main game, realistically, what are you going to do? I've always maintained the idea and kind of tried to share the idea that the real post game for any Pokemon game is grinding, training, breeding, battling after that. And, not everybody is into that. Not everybody does that. Various people do different things. And especially when it comes to YouTube, watching different people basically after they finish the game, seeing what they're going to do with it, whether they're going to replay it as a Nuzlocke, shiny hunt, battle, or, breed, and all that stuff, or just whatever else. And so, like, with the DLC, yes, it kind of keeps the games alive to a degree, but at the same time, it's not as much as a full game, even though, like, say, Ultra Sun and Moon, right, even though it was really only kind of different at the very end when it comes to the the Rainbow Rocket stuff, and I guess the story too near the end. Realistically, you still play the full game, right? It's still a full game that you play, and it comes at the end of the year. But I guess, with the DLC, we had it in the summer, so that was something cool, something to, I guess, kind of revitalize the game, like, halfway through the year. And then, we'll begin. And again, a lot of these rumors are starting to develop because we knew how this entire year was going to play out way back in January. January comes around, they're like, hey, here we're getting 2 sets of DLC, one in the summer, one later in the year. So we already knew going into 2020 what was going to happen for Pokemon. We're going to get Isle of Armor in summer, Crown Tundra in the fall, and cool, that's the entire year. So realistically, we're not going to hear anything big or any real announcements until January at the very least. If there's going to be DLC, maybe January, or if there's going to be a whole new game, yeah, February. And so that's kind of giving room for different rumors, different ideas to breed. And it's all interesting. I definitely would like if there were more DLC for this, but at the same time, I think because if they work on the DLC, I think it's cool, it's interesting to keep Sword and Shield still alive, to keep these games still going, and I think it provides for a lot of interesting ideas, a lot of new concepts to be played out, right, implemented. However, though, I'm pretty ready for a new game already, and I don't want them to, rush things, and there's the whole debate of, like, whether games are rushed or this and that, but, and I do want everyone at Game Freak to take all the time they need for every game. But again, if it's hypothetically Sinnoh remakes, it's still going to be in the Generation 8 engine running on the Switch. So at the same time, yes, I'm ready for some new games to come out for Pokemon. But it's all I don't know, it's a lot going on. But I mean, let me know what you think in the comments below. Let's contribute to the discussion. Some interesting ideas, but yeah, overall, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed the content, remember to leave a like and subscribe to show your support. You can enable notifications by clicking that bell icon next to the subscribe button. This will make sure you see each new video as it comes out and will make you a member of that Chingling squad. Anyway, this has been GatorEX. Have a nice day.